Hello and welcome to the Adafruit Show and Tell. My name is Melissa, and tonight I'll be hosting. And tonight we're going to go ahead and start out with one of our own Adafruit folks, Scott here. If you'd like to join, the links to join are in the Discord chat at adafruit.it/Discord. And with that, I'm going to bring in Scott here.
Hello, thanks for having me and thanks for hosting, Melissa. Tonight I wanted to show off, I like to show off the web workflow. I'm very excited about it. I've been on break, I'm getting back into it, and I think it's very, very cool. And one thing that's happened while I've been gone is that the Pico W actually has Wi-Fi support in CircuitPython now. So I spent the last week and a half working on bringing the web workflow over to the Pico W. I made a ton of progress. So you could share my window. Let's just see what happens here.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so what I'm doing here is I have a Firefox window and I'm trying to go to circuitpython.local, which is kind of a .local domains are unique in that they search your local network for a device that responds to it. And I actually have two. I have an ESP and I have the Pico W here on the network. It's a little slow, but it automatically found the Raspberry Pi Pico W here. So this is kind of the landing page for the web workflow. And the fact that it worked as circuitpython.local is a new thing that I got working today. So that's pretty exciting. All of the devices are circuitpython.local. You can see here that once you go to that page, it will redirect you to the unique domain based on the MAC address instead. So that's pretty neat. And I'm surprised that what it should do also is it should list the other devices on your network. If you, because they can all be circuitpython.local, you need to be able to find the other ones. So we'll just give it one more shot to see if it finds anything. And it doesn't look particularly.
So we'll be able to show the ESP devices that currently work.
Yeah, I was hoping so, but it might not be happy. I could reset it and we'll see if the Pico can find it. I should actually show off some of the work that you've been doing though, which is very exciting. So there's kind of three ways you can interact with it. One is through the file browser, which is all local to the device. The serial terminal here, which is also local to the device, but then we also have a full code editor. This is what you've been working on, Melissa, which is if you're online, you can download a bunch of source for it, like source JavaScript to make it really cool. And because this is editing a file, it requires you to type in your password. And I think that's the password for this device. But yeah, I don't know how long this is going to take. I think it's been a little, the request has been a little slow.
It a snag or something. Oh, there it goes.
Not the fastest thing in the world, but it is all local to the device and the Pico W that's running it. And you can see it's loading information from the device as we go along. And this last load must be the other network devices that it's loading.
Yes.
And it found the ESP32. So that time it would be able to find it as well. But we can hit close and we can actually open and we'll see how the file list was fast. And we can load code.py. So you can see my hello non-Wi-Fi code.py here that I have testing. So yeah, that's been awesome. You've made really great progress on this code. This code is shared with code.circuitpython.org. This is just for the local Wi-Fi version. So
yeah,
thank you for working on that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm currently working on the USB workflow stuff and trying to make it more like the BLE and the web workflow at the moment.
Right. Yep. And then you can get the serial output through the Wi-Fi as well and see the terminal status too. So looks very cool. And that's coming to the Pico W in the next beta, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
And next up, we are going to have Phil B. paint your dragon here, and I'll add him to the screen.
Hi, it's me. I don't really have so much of a thing to show, but just kind of like a story, a thing I just learned about Neopixels, because everybody loves Neopixels. The original Neopixels, going all the way back, I think it was 2012, and each Neopixel was about this big. No, I'm exaggerating. I'm kidding. But the original Neopixels were these individual things that you would sew with conductive thread. And it was an LED on one side and a driver chip on the other. And the strips and all that stuff came along later, but the original TM Neopixel. The data sheet that came with the driver IC talked about this 400 kilohertz data stream that they would use. You've probably seen this if you looked in any Neopixel code. There's this, Neo kilohertz 400 or 800 thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the data sheet, gave all these elaborate timing diagrams of the 400 kilohertz data stream and the high time and the low time and the period, etc. And later on, I think it was about a year later, the 2012 came along, which had the 800 kilohertz stream, which had all the charts and diagrams. And so there was this split in the code, and that's why you always have this defined for 400 versus 800 kilohertz. I just remembered something like a couple weeks ago that in that original data sheet, I don't know why I remembered this, there was one sentence in there that says, like, by the way, there's this double data rate mode. They never gave, timing charts for it. It was just like one sentence, there's a double speed mode. We never looked at it because we were on these 8 megahertz microcontrollers. So we never looked at it. And I just had this idea like a couple weeks ago. I'll bet 800 kilohertz, I'll bet it was there from the start. And we just never knew. It wasn't documented.
Makes sense, yeah.
And so I went hunting. Oh, well, I need some of those old chips to confirm this. But it turns out along the way, around 2018, they got rid of 400 kilohertz mode in those driver ICs. So I couldn't find any specimens to test this theory on. And I just went like deep dive into some of my really old hardware and found these weird sidelight Neopixel strips with the WS2811 with a 2015 date code on it. And I just went and hooked it all up, and I confirmed, going all the way back to the start, 10 years, all that code that's in there about 400 kilohertz was never needed. We could have just had 800 from the start, and all that cycle counting for both cases wasn't necessary. And I just wanted to apologize to the whole world that all that code we've been carrying along all this time, it turns out we can do without. So maybe that'll be like a weekend project. Maybe I'll just go in there and free up a few bytes. It's not a lot of code, but
that makes sense.
On some of these chips, it's like, hey, a little extra space would be nice. So anyway, that was just a comical story. If I had hair, I'd be tearing it out right now. Now we know. Just wanted to share that.
Cool. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, next up we have some members from the community, and I'm going to bring in, I think it's pronounced Milad.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I brought a friend this time to help me to present my project. Derek, can you talk as well at the same time? Is it possible? If we are doing the presentation together,
I'm sorry, what?
can you add Derek Andrews as well to the slide? I have it on the notes. On the chat, can you read the chat? On the chat, on the right side,
Oh,
can you read that? You may not be able to hear me very well?
Oh, okay, I can hear you now. I think you froze up here.
So I have a friend to help me present. Can you add him to the show and tell?
Add who to your show and tell?
Derek.
Oh, I got you. Yep, just a second.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, Milad and I work together. We both work for the Neil Squire Society, doing assistive devices for people with disabilities. And anyway, what we've come up with is the rocket switch. This is actually Milad's idea. Anyway, what we do is we've made a little PCB to which we then solder a trinkey with this is actually the rotary trinkey version. And then we basically put that all into a 3D printed case. And so then we can add assistive switches that are used by people with disabilities to control things. And then we basically can just press the button and it triggers various actions on your computer, or it can help you do typing and things like that. And so with that, it basically replaces like we can use like an under $10 Trinkey to replace a $100 plus a Swifty or some other third-party assistive device that can cost quite a lot of money. And so these can be built by volunteers that we often have make our products. And so that's at makersmakingchange.com is our website.
I posted the link to all the resources if somebody wants to make the device.
So we have a lot of open source assistive technologies, and a lot of them are based on Adafruit products. So
yeah.
Do you want me to post the link in Discord for you?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that would be great if you could. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. And was there anything else, or?
Well, I think that was about it.
Okay. Well, thank you for stopping by and showing it. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the next person here.
Okay.
Okay. So the last person that we have up is DJ Devon 3, and you want to go ahead and show us? I can't hear you.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, now I can.
Okay, so I have what did I call it? Cyberpunk ski goggles. Yeah, except since I've been wearing these and I'm in Florida and really high humidity and they're completely fogging up just sitting here, so I would not recommend something like this for skiing. So these are two separate nudes. So there's a top and a bottom. And I was inspired by Soapy Wong's helmet, space helmet. And this was like the closest thing I could come up with, just like on a drop of a hat. And it just seemed like a really cool project. They're nudes.
I'm sorry, my cat just removed you from the stream.
Oh, it's fine. That's fine. This one is running on a Cutie Pie S2. There's really no need for an S3 for something like this because nudes are not RGB addressable. So you wouldn't want to like use this for Blue Fruit or something like that with the S3. And then there's just this tiny little 350 milliamp hour battery in the back. So, just completely freedom of motion. And I didn't discover that these would be really poor skiing goggles until just now. So I'm going to just call them LED lighted workshop goggles. Oh, another thing that I figured out. I went into a completely dark room. That's what I did. I went to the bathroom, turned all the lights off, and just looked. And this illuminated my entire bathroom.
Oh,
so
nice.
Because these are so like easy to spot from far off, then my first thought was emergency responders or, something like that. I mean, the idea could be cool for skiing, for rescue, that kind of thing, so you don't get stuck in the snow or whatever. So this has real applications because I can see through this no problem. I can't even see the light. So yeah,
That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah. So there are definitely applications for this kind of thing, even though they look cool for like rescue work. I don't know, firefighters, first responders, that kind of thing. These are really high vis. Like you want like really high vis, these are high vis.
Or maybe somebody that's going into a cave to rescue somebody.
Something. There's applications for this. I was really impressed. Except for the fogging, but like that's a lens issue. And then another project is, let's see. This is an Adafruit step switch that I modified with a 3mm RGB LED. So you can modify the step switches to accept an RGB. So for your sequencers, synthesizers, quantizer projects, you can have RGB LEDs. And I was speaking to Liz there. She knows because she knows that quantizer I was going after. So yeah, this is a cool mod, and I don't know, I kind of consider an upgrade because with RGB you can get different statuses for like different notes and different MIDI, arrangements, like blue for drums or yellow for hi-hats or etc. So this has really cool applications, and I have an entire YouTube video on how to assemble it as well. So that's already done.
Oh, cool.
So that's all I got.
Do you have a link to your YouTube?
I will put it. I'll put it in the Discord.
Okay, cool. And then yeah, that could also even be used as like some prop goggles for like a costume, or
Yep.
And if you did want to do RGB, maybe you could even do like a green, a blue, and a red noodle. And
I thought about that. Yeah, that's possible. Absolutely. But with the small size of the cutie pie, I'm not sure if it has enough input output. So you would want something that's got a lot of GPIO, like a trinkey or something like that. It's got more than the cutie pie. Or you could just gang them together, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and that's another thing that I worked on was a ground plane PCB for the cutie pie. So a cutie pie BFF for ground planes, because with the cutie pie you only get one ground. With most microcontrollers you only get one ground. So if you're running LED projects like this with multiple LEDs, you're going to want some way to do multiple grounds. So either you're going to splice the wires together to ground, or you're going to end up using a perf board or a proto board. So I came up with a design that's just like a proto area, except it all links back to ground in the middle of the proto area. So I don't know if anybody wants one of those. I will give that to somebody for free. I got like 10 of them coming, so hit me up if you want one. That's it.
And somebody suggested cleaning them with shaving cream to get rid of the fog.
The only time I'm ever really going to wear these are like right now and just like walking around the house, honestly. Like I'm not too worried about it. It's just a concept, it's just a neat concept that I thought would be a fun project, and that's it.
Cool. Thank you for stopping by.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. And that is it for Show and Tell. We have John Park's workshop coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that will be coming up in about 10 minutes. So stick around for that. Good night.